So the recovery teams are just preparing the side hatch there for the crew's egress.
That's that white frame you mentioned earlier?
Absolutely. So just a fixture there to help protect that side hatch during this process. As we said before, this capsule has been reused. We plan to reuse it in the future. So not only to protect the crew themselves, but also the hardware.
Yeah. I imagine that's the sealing mechanism, so you want to protect that as you're walking over it and making sure it stays pristine.
All right, so that was the footrest that we saw coming out. These detach from the seats in order to allow the crew to get out of their seats a little easier. Also helps, just increase the usable volume inside Dragon. John, you and I were in the training capsule. It's about 2 weeks ago now. And it's definitely makes a difference in terms of small things like that, which seem like a small or a thin item that doesn't really take up space, but in reality, in terms of the volume that it occupies and where in that volume it is placed, it does make a difference in terms of mobility. And when you're on orbit in microgravity, it's a lot easier to get around than when you're stuck here on Earth with that pesky gravity.
Pesky gravity. Right, and I don't know if it's the same for egress, but during launch we noticed that there was a very particular way in which crew and ground teams had to ingress the vehicle because of those volumetric constraints. But allowing those footrests to come out does free up space a little easier. It's been they've spent a number of days in orbit, haven't felt the effects of gravity in a while. So making it as easy as possible to egress the vehicle is really important, not only for their comfort but also for everybody's safety.
It looks like pilot Larry Connor might be the first one to exit the vehicle.
You can see on the left-hand shot, the right side of that screen.
So inside Dragon capsules, we use a 5-point safety harness. So a little bit more complex than the seatbelt you and I use in our cars. It's really designed to be safe. Make sure that the crew's ergonomics or the positions that their body is in during the dynamic portions of the mission. That they're strapped in properly, but also so that they're comfortable.
Right.
So it seems like that's what the recovery teams are now assisting the crews in unlatching is that safety harness.
Right.
So we can see there Larry Connor starting to make his way out of his seat and onto the deck there on our recovery ship Megan.
See Larry making his egress from the Dragon Endeavour. You can hear the cheers in the background for it.
All right, those are his first steps back on planet Earth after spending 17 days on orbit. If it were me, I imagine I'd probably feel a little shaky, right? Because they don't have gravity up there. They did take exercise equipment to keep their muscles working while they're up there, but still,
Hey, there, we're going off comm. Thanks for everything. We'll see you on deck.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.
My last call there from MLA to say that they're no longer going to be utilizing the Dragon communication systems. They'll just talk with everybody on the deck.
So there we saw mission specialist Mark Pathy. He was seated on the far left, or at the left window seat. All right, removing the footrests on the other two seats.
Like you said, Kate.
I have a feeling Eytan will be next.
Yeah.
No, it looks like it's MLA.
Yeah, that's certainly part of the reacclimation process, is remembering those muscles that help keep you stabilized in a 1G environment. You know, you haven't used them in a few days, so it's certainly time spent after coming back home.
Oh, just kidding. All right, so MLA did a little change of seats there, so Eytan will be the next one to come out. It's very, you know, that feels very on par for him. You know, we've heard that MLA really was an exemplary commander for this crew, and you know, he basically just said, no, Eytan goes first, I'll be last.
Yeah.
One of my favorite phrases is leaders eat last. You know, make sure everybody else goes first, and you know, it's just great to see that.
Yeah. We see Eytan making his egress and first stance back on ground in 17 days.
Yeah, it's quite the readjustment coming back down to Earth and going from, you know, regardless of how long you're up there, obviously it's, you know, the longer you are, the more difficult the transition can be. But you know, even after the 17 days that they were in microgravity, you know, that's still a pretty significant change on the body.
Yeah, it certainly is.
So it's pretty amazing to see them, you know, just take those steps and begin that reacclimation process.
Exactly.
Now, once they are so for the 3 crew members that we saw exit or egress the vehicle already, you know, they walk off and they are immediately escorted into one of the medical bays that's on board. So the recovery vessels are fully equipped with medical bays to assist with, you know, any ailments or illness that the crew might be feeling at that time. It seems like everybody was in really good spirits and everybody was feeling quite well. But you know, that capability is on board the Dragon capsule, and so basically the crews just go in and get checked out by the flight surgeon and get those thumbs up.
Yeah, just that capability to have that immediate assessment is really important. Even if you are feeling perfectly fine, you're taking your great steps. You know, it's all part of the ground-based operations that ensure that you come home safely and you get out of the capsule safely.
So there we saw MLA slide down the ramp and now standing. Welcome home, Commander MLA.
With that, all 4 crew members of AX-1 are now safely out of the Crew Dragon Endeavour.
So you can see there mission control here behind us at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Checking in now that pretty much all the dynamic activities of recovery have concluded.
Right. At this point, we'll just be waiting on crew to make sure that, you know, they have those good checks that you were talking about. You know, making sure that all the medical checks coming out of the vehicle, they're happy, healthy, feeling good.
Yeah.